Affairs.
Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching TVC Breakfast, and we're live in our Abuja studio. We're with the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Public Communications, Sunday Dari. Well, the Minister of Agriculture is quoted to have said, contrary to the claims by naysayers, Nigeria did not import food. He adds that the recent drop in food prices across the country is a direct result of deliberate efforts of President Bola Tinubu. Is there an assurance that this trend will be sustained?
Absolutely. And when you try to interrogate the recent drop in food prices, you can adjudge 4 key reasons. One is the fact that security has improved. We know very clearly that our farmers were driven away by bandits, criminal gangs. We know that farmers across the north had to pay to be able to spend a few hours on the farms, and we have the data for that. Now the farmers are able to spend more time, and you can see the increase in agricultural output. That's very important. You also see the removal of middlemen and a bit of bottlenecks in that process. So I think that that's a trend that will continue. We have seen the interventions they have done for food security under this administration. You've seen that we have over 300,000 farmers engaged in dry season rice farming. We have about 400,000 engaged in wheat farming. Just a couple of those interventions. And I think sometimes it's the testimonials that really speak to the reality. You go to Gwari during the campaign, President Bola Tinubu traveled at about 9 p.m. all the way to Gwari. That was the deadliest stretch of kidnapping. And he said, look, let's go through. 90% of the farmers could not go to the farm. In Gwari, we have new farmer millionaires. We've seen the footages and the rest of them. In Osun State, spanning Oyo State, and I've experienced it, the story will soon come forward, and I think TVC is working on that story. We have young farmers who put their vehicles on display, put the houses they are building on display, and saying, look, we thank President Bola Tinubu for some of his policies because the output of cocoa, the output of cashew, and several other farm products. So these are facts. They're evidential. And it's because someone has been taking a combination of decisions that have produced. So we expect this trajectory to continue.
Okay, and how do your government intend to add up to, food production is not a big challenge because it has improved. But we also talk about the value chain, the processing sector, whether it's from the regions and all that. Yeah. What is the government putting in place to ensure that, we don't just have this high production, but we can also build on the value chain and add values to them?
Let me respond to that by just speaking to what happened earlier this week at the House of Representatives. The representative, Honorable Lamiju Akala, went through the second reading. Cashew is one of the major crops in the world. Nigeria produces about the second or the third best cashew, and the largest haul of cashew comes from Ogbomoso, and that's where I come from. And what we have is we have a lot of Asians coming in, just taking the cashew out, and the value chain is eroded completely. Now we know that MTN has set up something in Lagos to process the cashew from Ogbomoso. But the second reading that has gone through is to make sure that they bring in equipment, that the federal government establishes a cashew processing plant in Ogbomoso, Oyo State. That will add value. And I think that is expected to be replicated in other regions. What we've seen in the past is that countries deliberately set up processing plants. It's about processing when you want to add value. Yeah. Deliberately, you go to where you have the incidence of the highest output and production of a particular product, and you set up processing plants. And I think with the cashew one, the way it's gone very far, I also know that, the silos are alive, working with the Sovereign Wealth Fund. They're in charge of the massive silos. So some of the agri output we're having now, the plan is already afoot. The Sovereign Wealth Fund, working with the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Economy, they are off-takers the excesses we're having now, because we're having the surplus now. You must also be forward-thinking to say, what happens when we don't have the surplus? So the silos are back alive now, and you have the sovereign wealth fund managing them.
Okay. And also, let me quickly add, just the pace the federal government is working. A lot of people say the subnationals are not working at that pace. Now, how does this government intend to ensure that the subnationals also actively complement? Because you rightly stated that the inflows to them are kind of tripled.
Absolutely.
So if that's tripled, what are they putting in place, whether in the states or in the various geopolitical zones, to ensure that we meet the federal government in the center and everyone is better?
Well, you know, the jury is still out on the verdict of whether the subnationals are performing adequately well, meeting the needs of development of their people. So I wouldn't really give a judgment, but I think that the numbers tell the story. And I've said it repeatedly, this over-concentration of blame on the president and the federal government is completely misplaced. Constitutionally, it's misplaced. Because when you look at the distribution of federal allocation of revenue, it's clear 3 levels: the federal government, the subnationals, and the local government. You read the Constitution very well. They have clear responsibilities. There's an exclusive list and all of that. So that's one. 2, the reality is that what they're getting from FARC has tripled. So the question has to be that every state, citizens in every state, must interrogate the issues on ground and also ask their governors the relevant questions. That's it. Every state must bear its cross. The federal government has done its bit, increase the revenue going to them. And even President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said it. He says the subnationals have a critical role to play when it comes to development. And you've seen even the federal government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu reaching out to support them. In the past, the states came to the federal government to beg for money to pay salaries. That has disappeared under this administration because they have enough to pay salaries. We've also seen them increase from 30,000, 33,000 to 70,000, 80,000. So as the government, federal government focuses on those critical elements of development, pulling the levers, the governors at their own level must also pull the levers. And I'm telling you very soon, with what is happening now, I think that the governors will have to answer, will have to show results for the resources that's coming to them.
Well, the cost of governance is still a big concern, and
Yes.
despite efforts to show up revenue, there's still no effort to reduce the cost of governance. Even though Rosanya report is yet to be implemented, we've seen agencies that were supposed to be dissolved are still operational.
Well, the cost of governance has always been the bane of every government. And what the most recent example we have is Dodge. Under the Trump administration, we see the gutting that is taking place. You know, thousands of public servants being dropped. We see USAID, you know, being chopped off the board. So the cost of governance is always an absolute challenge, and even for our country is no different. We've seen a focus and a commitment to bring down the cost by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Some of it might seem very cosmetic: reduce the number of your aides, reduce the number of your cars, etc. But when you also look at it, you know, personnel cost is huge. The cost of also keeping a large retinue of aides is also huge. So the focus we have on it on the part of the president, that we really have to bring down the cost of governance. And I think that will take place over time. The Oresanya report, the president has directed that that be interrogated and used. But don't forget, there's been a time lag. When that Oresanya report was produced, where was Nigeria at that point? Where are we at this point? So you must bring that report in line with the current realities.
So should that be a review?
Well, I think part of what they're doing, apart from, you know, suggesting what should be done, that there are elements of review there. Because you can't take a report of 15 years ago and implement it now, even for a TV station. If you have a report of enhancing your reports 10 years ago, in this age of fake and deep fake, in this age of, you know, a blooming social media, ecology and all of that, you're facing competition. So I think that process is going on. Quite a number of processes are going on. Sometimes you must allow time so that you don't have to come back to the drawing board again. And the fact that this president is interrogating the right things that need to be interrogated in order to really make sure that this economy is is brought on its proper footing, I think that is important.
When the administration removed subsidy on petrol, the compressed natural gas was introduced as an alternative. But there are some challenges, and they include the limited access to refueling stations,
right,
high initial investment costs, and limited availability of the CNG itself. Are you not worried that the purpose of the alternative invention may soon be defeated if more investment is not made in that sector?
Well, I think that where we are now, we've seen, yes, there was a slow pace, and that was because we needed to develop the CNG infrastructure. But I tell you that since November, December, we've had an increased pace. The wait time before to convert your vehicle to CNG was 3 weeks or 4. Right now, it's less than 10 days. We have the importation of 1 million kits. Most of it will be given free. But we also have targeted CNG support for commercial vehicles, transporters, which is going on seamlessly. We have that for they call them motorcyclists, that is going on. The one for motorists, I know that centers have increased across the country. I don't have the numbers right now. The uptake of CNG is going to take time. You see, to win this country or motorists off the use of PMS won't happen overnight. We're just looking at about 18 months or even 15 months of real, and I think there's a relentless campaign. We've gone through the stage of awareness. People who are really convinced is an alternative that is needed. The president, right from the get-go, embraced CNG because he saw that when you take away, when you take away subsidy, the price of PMS comes up, you must give people an alternative. It's like toll gates. When you have a toll gate, you give alternative routes. If you cannot pay the toll gate, you go this way. And then we have examples from India, which has run the most successful CNG, and we're learning so much from there. So the uptake might take a couple of years, but it's an alternative and an option that has come. And I think that a lot of Nigerians will embrace that eventually.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people agree with you that CNG is a good alternative. But is the government also considering this aspect that could it also be activities of the fifth columnists to frustrate this intention? Because a good intention, but why is it that like 2 years down the line, it's like still dragging? Are there forces trying to frustrate the effort of government to make CNG the better alternative?
I don't really think so. Let me say why I say that. When you look at what's happening in the downstream oil sector, when you look at the effect of the market forces, when you see the competition, when the president said earlier that the market forces will determine and Nigerians will have option, not many believed. We're now seeing that the prices are dropping and there's also competition. Now, while that is ongoing, I don't see what anyone would benefit from trying to jeopardize the CNG.
You're shifting focus away from fuel?
No, you're just giving people alternative. That's you have electric cars in the US, you have CNG-driven cars, and they have PMS cars. That's the 21st century economy. You run alternatives. When you come to energy, you can run by normal hydro. You can go by solar. Okay? You can go by, there's a new hydrogen powered energy that will. So when it comes to the concept of energy, whether it's energy as power, whether it's energy as drives our industries and our cars, those alternatives are there. This is an economy that's providing all those alternatives. Now, the level of uptake is not essentially dependent on the investors, but also on the consumers. Most Nigerians, I may ask, how many of your cars have you converted to CNG? The government has provided the infrastructure, the incentives are there, you must drive your car. And the government cannot take that decision for you. It has given you the option. You apply yourself to that process. But I believe that, you say it's dragging. I think that it has increased. And I think gradually, before the end of this year, we're going to see more Nigerians embrace that. Dangote trucks, massive trucks across the country, massive trucks. 80% of these trucks now run on both PMS and CNG, and that's important.
Well, there is a lot of talk about President Tinubu's appointment. Some critics have accused a president of nepotism. Is the president making effort to strike a balance?
Well, this is the president who swore an oath to lead this country. on the part of constitutionality, but also to bring the best hands to work with him. He's a destabilized president. He has shown that over the years and over the decades in his political associations, in his pronouncements and actions. And I think that my response is you're looking at a government that has over 2,000 plus appointments yet to be made. A government that has the first term of 4 years. And by God's grace, another second-year term of another 4 years. Now, you can't cramp all the appointments. I think it's too early to want to judge because we don't have the entire data to judge. So, quite a number of appointments are still in the offing, very critical appointments. And I think that the balance we so much expect will occur. Is a president that is, he applies himself to data, he knows about the spread, of appointments. But I think for him, what comes first is merit.
Well, let's quickly talk politics. Just last week, the APC passed a vote of confidence on President Bola Tinubu, but this does not translate to a vote of confidence by Nigerians and does not put him in the driver's seat ahead of 2027 election. What do you have to say about this?
Well, first, let me say that President Bola Tinubu is not worried about the next election.
Okay.
He's worried about the shared prosperity that he can bring to Nigerians. He's worried about how the reforms he has put in place will yield necessary impact. He's concerned about what happens to the economy of this country eventually. And I think that's the focus. That vote of confidence did not come in a vacuum because I was there at the NEC meeting when the governor of Ogun State spoke, when the chairman of the Progressive Governors, Governor Hope Uzodimma spoke, when Senator Oshiomhole spoke. They did not speak in a vacuum. They reeled out a lot of data. And, we've seen this data play out. We've seen our foreign reserve go up. We've seen inflation come down. We've seen our trade surplus go up by 16 billion. We've seen exports go up and imports drop. We've seen the investments that have been attracted over 50 billion. We're seeing prices dropping. So this vote of confidence was not in the vacuum. We had clear data. And you have a president that is clearly in the driver's seat. And he has stayed the course of the decisions he has taken. And I think that the next election is not really in his view right now. It's how to make sure that at the end of his first term, he can sit back and say, look, I have impacted the lives of Nigerians. I have turned this economy around. We're looking at a 1 trillion economy. Our budget is just at $36 billion. When you look at our population, the size of our population, a 54.9 trillion naira, $36 billion. When you do the math, it's actually a joke.
Well, definitely.
But we still have a president who believes we will generate more revenue, 22 trillion right now from IRS. That is going to increase. And I think that he is in the driver's seat.
Well, we'll definitely keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much for your time with us on the program. It was a robust and interesting conversation. Thank you. Looking forward to having you again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, that's it from us here in Abuja. It's back to you in Lagos, Veronica, and the rest of the crew to continue with the rest of the program.
Thank you, Tijesu, for that interview. Quite timely and insightful. Thank you again. All right, we have some breaking news right now. All right, we have reports saying that a former presidential spokesperson, Doyin Okupe, is dead.